Louisiana's Republican Governor Jeff Landry signed a piece of legislation on Wednesday of this week mandating that the Ten Commandments must be displayed in classrooms in public schools across the state of Louisiana. And he said, actually, this is what he posted over the weekend. He said, "I'm going home to sign a bill that places the Ten Commandments in public classrooms. I can't wait to be sued," he said. Now, before I get into the lawsuit issue, what does this bill do? The measure requires all schools to display the text exactly as written in the bill and in a poster or framed document that is at least 11 inches by 14 inches at minimum and in a large, easily readable font. It also requires a 200-word context statement arguing that the Ten Commandments were a prominent part of the American public education system for almost 3 centuries up until 50 years ago. So, that's that. He signed the law. Public schools in the state of Louisiana now have to display prominently, at least 11 by 14, the Ten Commandments along with that little idiotic statement. Now, as I said, the governor proudly proclaimed he can't wait to be sued. And the reason he can't wait to be sued is because he wants this to go to the 6-3 conservative majority Supreme Court so that they rule in his favor, forcing the Ten Commandments in every public classroom across the country. So why is he excited about that? Why is he so confident that he'll win? Well, the reason's simple. Because he will. This law was passed not because Jeff Landry cares about the Ten Commandments. This law was passed so that it would be challenged in court. And sure as shit, the ACLU fell for it and has already filed a lawsuit. And if I sound a little pissed off about that, it's because I am, because that's an incredibly stupid decision. It's the same damn thing that they did as soon as the states passed those abortion bans before the Dobbs decision. This is what caused the Dobbs decision to go to the Supreme Court. These groups immediately jump in and say, "We're suing you." They don't take the time to analyze the case. They don't take the time to find an actual victim with an injury, legal injury from the law. They just file it and they say, "Nope, Constitution says you can't do it." Of course the Constitution says you can't do it. We all know that. That doesn't mean that you immediately file a lawsuit before the ink is dry on the legislation, because we've seen what happens. We have a court system in this country overtaken by conservative activists in black robes that do not care about the Constitution. So it doesn't matter that the legal arguments are on your side. They are. I'm not disputing that. The problem is, y'all jumped the gun. You fell for what this man was setting you up to do by filing this lawsuit the same day. Here's the problem. And this is coming from somebody. I'm not a lawyer, but I have worked in the legal industry for 20 years. For plaintiffs, lawyers, right? Not for the corporate people. But I work for a law firm that before they file a lawsuit, you know what typically happens? Years and years and millions of dollars spent investigating, hiring researchers, hiring experts, things like that to see if a case even exists. But most importantly, gathering evidence. And, even more important than that, finding the injured victims. Now, granted, that's product liability, that's personal injury, sure. Constitutional cases are a little bit different, but not too different. In this particular instance, with the way this law is written in Louisiana, they're not using public state funds for it. They're actually only using donations. So you can't make the legal argument that they're using funds for the establishment of religion. That takes away a big piece of the puzzle here if you want to try to challenge it in court. The state has the upper hand on that. Yes, you cannot force these 10 commandments on students in a classroom. That much is obvious. Constitution tells us. You're going to tell me Clarence Thomas is going to adhere to the Constitution? Or Alito? Or Jeff Kavanaugh? Or Brett Kavanaugh, excuse me? No, they're not. So that doesn't even matter. What you have to have is you have to have an injured victim. You have to find a student that gets persecuted for having a different religion. You have to wait, unfortunately, to have somebody that has experienced some kind of discrimination or whatever due to these 10 commandments being in the classrooms. but they jumped the gun. And I love the ACLU. I think they do phenomenal work. I support them. But not in this instance. Not yet. Y'all did it with the abortion bans. You've done it with all sorts of, not necessarily them, but other legal groups as well. You guys jump the gun without actually thinking or strategizing before you do it. And you lose every time. But it's not just you losing. It's the rest of the country losing their rights because y'all jumped the gun. And I'm sorry, but you need to take back this lawsuit right now. Wait till you get all your ducks in a row. Get some victims lined up so that you have a stronger case to present. Because if you were to take this in front of the Supreme Court today, you would lose, thereby forcing this rule on all of us. That's what's at stake here. Well, folks, we have crossed that 1 million subscriber milestone, but rest assured, we are just getting started here at Ring of Fire. So if you're not already, please do subscribe to the channel and make sure to like, share, and comment on the videos.